Okay, new camera, hopefully no problems with autofocus. I'm going to link my old autofocus riddled problems video to this one, and I'm going to do the same diagram again, and hopefully I can explain it the same, but with better quality. So what I'm going to explain is a content model I've developed for websites, and I call it my winning at everything forever secret / not so secret SEO content model. It's a mouthful. But basically what I've done is taken a whole lot of my brain knowledge about organic traffic and about how to create great SEO models, but also build it in a way that it works with a content model and a certain writing flow, so that it makes the huge task of writing copy for your website a little bit more digestible. It's still hard, but at the end of the day, hopefully you can see where this is coming from. And this applies to startups, huge portals. Doesn't matter if your website is 15 pages or millions of pages. This is a content model you need to look for. So, as a writer, as someone who's maybe a product manager and maybe dealing day to day with the nuts and bolts of my product, the very first thing that is most easy to write for most people is the product itself. So, let's get the product down. Product. Now, the thing about product, the thing about product is it's a theoretical thing. If your website is selling like shop, like literally, like e-commerce, then product is obvious. But if you're a portal, like a content portal, like a food portal, then your product might be restaurant reviews. Or if you're like a real estate agent, then your product might be house listings. Or if you're like a B2B website, your product might be white papers. But just think about what your product is on a website. And, that's what I'm talking about here, your product. The next thing that's easiest to write about once you've written about your product and sort of fleshed that out is examples of like the best case scenarios to use your products, like how these products are used in the best way. So let's write that down, examples. So you've got product and examples. Awesome. Now, examples doesn't really need a lot of fleshing out, but maybe, if you were a food portal, once again, your product might be, restaurant reviews, and your examples might be sort of a way of going, this street of restaurants is known, best for X cuisine, and you write up using your products, you write the examples using your products collated together in a certain way. So you might say mobile phone reviews, or mobile phones with the best cameras, or, whatever it happens to be. Or if you're a startup and you've invented a new widgety thing, you might say, this is how it's best used. And it helps people understand how your products are used. Also helps search engines, and we'll get to that in a moment. Now, the third thing is typically thought of as like the About Us section. But this is about how you write you as a company. But it's important to write about your company in a sort of thought leadership way. So what I'm talking about is the reason why you sell the products you sell, or how it is that you came about the products. If you're a startup, it's easy to think about, take people on the journey, to write about the journey you've been on to develop the products you have. If you're an existing company, it might be a little bit more difficult, to sort of summarize why you do what you do. If you're a food portal, like, Hungry Go, Eatability, whatever, it's important to write, so people can identify with you, so that people understand your brand, and we'll get to brand in a moment too. So let's write this down as thought leadership. And that's the hardest one, that's why I put it third. B, product examples, thought leadership. Okay, now let's explain why they're important. They're important, in a sort of mechanical way, and we'll get to that. But what I'm now going to explain is the sort of theory why they're important. Okay, so between your product and your examples, and your thought leadership and your product, and your thought leadership and your examples, are sort of, there's sort of three things. Now, the thing that's easiest to think about is between thought leadership and product is your brand. So, pretty straightforward. I know Samsung have great TVs, I go to the Samsung stuff. I know that, it's how that Samsung have built that over time, or Philips, or whoever your preferred choice is. That Android is a certain brand, and you understand that, and people sort of, what's in your mind. Now, that's created by the content between thought leadership and product. Now, what's happening between thought leadership and examples is innovation. So that's where you might say, the reason why we came about the stuff that we come about and the reason why we have the examples that we have. This is where innovation lives. The innovation lives in this copy here. Now, with your products and your examples, this is context. This is where people go, yeah, I get that product, but I don't know how to use it. This is how it works. So I now understand why Samsung's big HD TVs are important to me because of this certain context. Explaining, you don't just, it's like saying, my product, here's a list of features. Now, examples are why those features are relevant to the person. Okay, so does that make sense? Okay. Now, brand, context, innovation. Now, how does this work in a mechanical way? Let's use black. Okay. Very boring colors, but black works. So, products, examples, this context that I talked about earlier, this is great for SEO and search engines. Awesome. So Google and all search engines love that meaty content that you write that sits in between product and examples. So it helps them understand, it's full of keywords, it's really rich, awesome. So that's where your SEO comes in. Now, between thought leadership and examples, this is where your innovation comes in. This is super important. So people link to things that they think are noteworthy, right? So they're unlikely to link to a product unless it's a great price point or whatever. But what really motivates people to share stuff with their friends is the way that the examples and the brand, like the thought leadership, comes in. And they go like, hey, look, or word of mouth recommendations, like, oh, you're looking for X, Y, and Z problem. I know a solution for that. It's this brand, blah, blah, blah. So let's call this is where your links come in. And it's all sorts of links. It's social, direct, from like an SEO perspective or organic growth perspective. This is where all your links come from. The third one, brand. Dun, da, da, da. Now, brand, I've kind of used a few examples with brand so far. So that if you've got the content that sits between thought leadership and product is your brand. It's how people come to understand your brand. People understand where you're coming from. People know where you're going. Brand. Now, how did brand translate into the traffic? Well, brand is direct. All your direct links, all your direct traffic, all your direct stuff, let's get an eye in there, all your direct stuff comes through this sort of idea of brand. I'll go straight to that website because I know what to expect. That's all your direct traffic comes through brand. The reason why people go straight to Optus instead of Telstra or Vodafone is because of the sort of brand. So now the reason why this is a winning content model is because if you develop your website, doesn't matter if it's 15 pages or millions of pages, with a nice balance of these three things, and you've got a nice healthy traffic coming from here, healthy traffic coming from here, healthy traffic coming from here, and all these three things are amplified by each other. So you'll get better SEO if you've got better links. You've got better links, you're likely to get more direct traffic. You'll get more direct traffic because you've got better SEO. It's a winning cycle. Now, it's hard. It's hard to do this, but if you do it, you're just going to reap rewards everywhere. Now, so this is the winning content model. There's nothing that's going to change about any algorithms. This is not gaming the system. This is a guide to hard work, right? But this is reflective of all of Google's theory about what makes a good website. Google being the biggest search engine, but I'm just using an example. Nothing's going to change about this. That's not going to mean that every piece of effort that you put into writing this content is going to reap benefits across the board. For your business in general. It's hard, but it needs to be sort of maintained and put forward. So that's my guide. Hopefully I've explained it a little bit better. I might link to a better diagram of this, with my handwriting's a bit dodgy, let's face it, underneath. And, hopefully that helps everyone out who's looking to create a website. I get too many questions about, what do I need to put in my website in order to rank? You need this. Okay, you can't just write up 5 things and have a single page scroll website and expect it to rank at all. So this is hard, but you need to do it, and it'll be amazing if you did. Anyway, so I'll put all my links in the video below, below the video below, and talk to you then. So I'm just going to awkwardly reach over the camera and turn it off. Talk to you soon. Bye.